would imagine, at least thinking, which, as an editor, I know is half the battle. The poet Frank O'Hara was struck and killed by a dune buggy on its beaches in 1966, a notable distinction on a virtually car-free island. Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner are said to have drummed up the premise for their infamous comedy sketch, The 2,000-Year-Old Man, as teenagers there in the 1940s. And a decade later, Arthur Miller played softball on the field right across from my house, while his wife, Marilyn Monroe, sat in the stands. It was in that house across from the ball field, 10 wonderful years ago, that the love of my life, author and sports writer Benjamin Morse, got down on one knee and presented me with an advance copy of his second novel, opened to the dedication. It read, "I love you, Julia. Marry me?" I said yes. Ben and I had our first kiss on Fire Island the summer before he proposed, and we knew instantly that it was our place. It's a common phenomenon. People need to be romantics to fall in love with a narrow strip of land that could be washed away by one big wave, and where their only mode of transportation is a bicycle or their own 2 feet. At first glance, Ben and I make an odd couple. We undeniably call to mind Beauty and the Beast. Me, petite, with dark shiny hair and my button nose perpetually buried in a book. And him, with his clunky towering frame, unruly locks, and moody, brooding demeanor. Though I always found him to be sexy. Sexy like an unmade bed. Intellectually, on the other hand, we are completely in tune and have an uncanny ability to finish each other's sentences. Not surprising, since for most of our marriage, I was also his editor. The decision for us to collaborate wasn't so much a choice on either of our parts as a natural progression. It began with an author passing pages to their spouse, a common occurrence even when publishing is not the family business, and grew from there. A year into our marriage, when Ben's editor hinted at retirement, the writing was quite literally on the page. His publisher agreed to assign someone else to deal with the financial components of the job, and I came on board to fill the rest of the role. I had been looking to make a move for a while, and it was very exciting for both of us. Plus, as far as my career went, Ben had always felt like the one who got away. Even with 2 of my authors on the bestseller list at the time, and 1 a Booker Prize winner, adding Ben to my list felt like a crowning achievement. When I first heard the name Ben Morse, I was technically a newbie. I say technically because, while I'd only been in publishing for a year and a half at the time, I had considered myself an editor of sorts since the 9th grade, when Ellen Crown's mother, an editor at Alfred Knopf, spoke on Career Day. By the time she was halfway through with her presentation, I was all in, and my intention never swayed. I immersed myself in the classics, writing tiny notes in the page margins and highlighting character traits, conflicts, and points of view. While the other girls were obsessing over Titanic's Jack and Rose, I went to sleep dreaming of Cathy and Heathcliff, or Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. I got a greater high poring over my friends' English assignments than smoking a blunt with them in Sheep Meadow. And nothing thrilled me more than a prompt with a small word count. To me, editing felt like the best kind of puzzle. My first real job, after graduating summa cum laude with a degree in English from Sarah Lawrence College, was at Sofer Grace, a mid-size publishing house run by a sexist tyrant. The narrow-minded managing editor, who inserted the fact that he was a Yale man into nearly every conversation, had a huge ego with little taste or talent to back it up. While others found him a charming throwback to a Mad Men-like 3-martini lunch era of publishing, I found him pompous, misogynistic, and, in fact, not a very good editor. And he knew it. He also knew that firing me without